Meanwhile, Iran's President Hassan Rouhani says a human catastrophe and genocide are taking place in Palestine. He also says history will judge those who remain silent on Israel's crimes against Palestinians.
The land of Muslims and the revered Al-Quds has been seized by occupiers. This land should be freed and people should return to their homeland. This year, people are witness to an anti-human catastrophe and a genocide in Palestine. Every day, they are bombing the people of Gaza with various weapons. Today, unity is needed in the Muslim world. All Muslims should unanimously announce this day as a day of anger and hatred towards Israel, and also as a day of solidarity and resistance against Israel. Those who have kept silent about these crimes are and will be ashamed, and history will judge them. Innocent people and children are being killed, and they either keep silent or support the criminals.
Rouhani made those comments while taking part in a march marking the International Al-Quds Day here in Tehran. Other senior officials also attended the demonstrations, including Foreign Minister Mohammad Javad Zarif and Parliament Speaker Ali Larijani. The Parliament Speaker praised the huge turnout of Iranians in rallies across the country. Zarif said an Iranian humanitarian aid cargo is ready to be sent to Gaza, but according to him, Tehran is waiting for the Egyptian government to help transfer the aid.
Our human aid cargo is ready to be sent to Gaza. We have contacted the Egyptian government so that our airplane can ship medicine to Gaza and transfer the wounded Palestinians to Iran for treatment. The airplane is ready. We hope that the Egyptian government take action as soon as possible to issue permission for the flight.
To discuss that further, we're now joined via Skype from Orlando by Mr. Scott Rickard, who is a former American intelligence linguist. Mr. Rickard, thanks very much for joining us here, as always. You know, the Iranian president, they're making quite a strong statement calling what's happening in Gaza a genocide. How do you feel about that?
Well, that's exactly right. This is a genocide. This is ethnic cleansing of the indigenous people of Palestine. It's been going on, unfortunately, for over half a century. And where the escalation that we're seeing and the murders that we're seeing are just incredibly indicative of war crimes. We're talking about bombing schools. We're talking about bombing hospitals. Almost half the hospitals in Gaza have been bombed. The UN shelter was bombed yesterday, over 16 killed and 200 injured in that one bombing alone. And they've increased the size of the bombs they're dropping. They're dropping hundreds of bombs at a time that are 2,000-pound bombs and larger. These are not accurate bombs. These bombs are basically resulting in massive amounts of innocent civilians and innocent people. They're basically trying to wipe out the entire Gaza infrastructure and reoccupy Gaza. And what they've done at this point is they've tried to do some ground incursions, and they're losing that battle. Thankfully, the resistance. I like what Rouhani said about supporting the resistance. I have to be a bit critical about spouting things like hate and anger. These aren't the things that are going to help win this. Hate and anger are very weak emotions that will rise. Basically, people will rise above eventually, but unfortunately, it will keep them in the downfalls of the international community. I think it's important that we all talk intelligently about this, and we get the word out, as thankfully Press TV is doing, and Rouhani did during his speech.
Right, so I wanted to ask about that. You know, once we label this a genocide, then obviously, as the Iranian president said, history will judge those who did not stand on the right side when it comes to this. How do you feel about that? Because certainly, when it came to the Nazis, for example, people who supported the Nazis at that time are still being chased till today.
Well, history only judges those by those who write history. Unfortunately, there were many American war criminals. There were many British war criminals. There were a lot of war criminals from those same wars, obviously not held accountable. And certainly those same war criminals in Iraq, Afghanistan, throughout Syria that's being caused, in Libya. There are just numerous people where history is being written, misinformation of history is being written in favor of the individuals that are indoctrinating the people of the West. This has been going on for some time. The Encyclopedia Britannica is a fantastic representation of the brainwashing of the West by the British Empire, and certainly the newspapers and television are unfortunately brainwashing the West.
And finally, I wanted to speak about, this humanitarian aid cargo which Iran essentially has waiting for the Egyptian government to give. It's kind of a sad story, right? It's waiting for the Egyptian government to respond, and the Egyptians have been, criticized a lot in this entire aggression on Gaza by the Israelis. How do you feel about that?
It's incredible that the Egyptians are such puppets to the West. You've got now even a more cooperative puppet than Mubarak was. El-Sisi is certainly not an advocate of the Arab people. He is an advocate of the West. He is an imperialist tool. He may as well be like the Shah of Iran. He may as well be like, for example, even King Idris. These are the puppets that the West has put in place in places like Libya and Egypt and Iran and Iraq and so on and so forth for over half a century, if not a century. And it's horrific to see them abusing their power of the border crossing and not allowing humanitarian aid to go in and help these defenseless individuals who are just being slaughtered on a daily basis.
Okay, Scott Rickard, as always, thanks very much for that.
Thank you.